One for New York fans, Pablo Torre joins us. With his take from NFL Sunday, he will reserve the mix.
Your right wing relatives
He'll also
and
have the MLB playoffs. But
like
first,
release.
see you soon, Pablo. It was another.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States of America. Good morning to the entire world. We're receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, formerly known as ARPANET and created by We the People. I want everybody to keep remembering, we the people, I want everybody to keep remembering that we must cede nothing. We must cede nothing to the plutocracy, the oligarchy, the wealthy. We must cede nothing to these folks because you know what? All that they have is completely and entirely dependent on the resources, the product, the intellect by us, the masses. We'll go into that few more. But anyway, without further ado, let's pass it on to LS Studio. Good morning, Studio. How are you guys doing this morning?
Good morning. Doing well. Doing pretty well.
Good morning, Roberto. How are you?
I am doing fine, sir. Well, you know how it goes. It's a new day. It's a new week. And we got to start with bringing our folks up to speed.
All right. I wrote a piece this weekend on how the money that America gives to other countries, economic development, and how it drives the immigration crisis.
Go for it.
Here it goes. You know, the money America gives to other countries for economic development, well, there's a dirty backstory of economic entrapment, austerity, the corporate extraction of resources, diplomatic treachery that deprives the people in other countries of a just economic future, driving immigration and demonization of people searching for a brighter future in America. My information comes from what I learned from John Perkins' books, Confession of an Economic Hitman. First, I'm going to start with the motivation. The motivation is corporate greed. It starts with planning. A corporate entity covets a resource in another country. They hire an engineering company to design the ports, the roads, the power plants, to extract the resources. The engineers are persuaded to inflate the figures and exaggerate the benefit to the country's economy. The next step is financing. Financing is arranged, loan packages and contracts are drawn up designed to fail and cripple the country with crushing debt. Turn the page. Next, the diplomats are sent to the targeted country to sell the con. Usually a newly democratically elected leader that wants to help his people. He is assured that his country will experience economic prosperity, so he signs on the dotted line. Now the country is bonded and bound to the contract by law. The construction part of the contract stipulates that American engineering and contractors do the work. They might hire the locusts for labor, but this ensures that the loan money returns to America in the pockets of the corporate contractors. The construction starts, the roads, ports, and power plants are built, the resource extraction begins. By the time the country figures out the crushing debt they are under, it's too late. Next, a sweetheart deal is made for the original corporation that wants the resources. The targeted country is forced to implement austerity measures on its people, robbing them of their livelihoods and driving them north to America to be exploited for their labor and willingness to work for low wages, undercutting the American worker, causing job loss and unemployment, so the American worker must retrain or live in poverty. The corporate entity profits through lies, deception, and entrapment by law and law. The people in the targeted country suffer under austerity and are overcome by poverty, driving them to immigrate because of good old American corporate greed. It's all about the money and people suffering. Wealth and poverty are two sides of the same coin. Extreme wealth causes extreme poverty. This is what drives the immigration crisis we see today in America. And America is using austerity on its people as restaurants close, hospitals close, construction companies are folding because the labor shortage and the coming food crisis at our doorstep.
Amen. Amen. And
A
amen.
little long, but
No. Let me tell you, as I'm listening to it, I'm saying, why are you doing this to me today? Because I have two subjects, and you see what I have these subjects on, right? But I want to kind of expand on that as well, because it's easy. Speaker Mike Johnson did a trick on Meet the Press yesterday that we need to uncover, and all of that fits into into this domain. So I tell you what, before I get started though, Mayana, do you have anything to add? And then I want to get started.
I'm gonna let you get started. I have some thoughts, but I'm gonna let you get started with that.
Okay, check this out. First of all, I'm glad that you brought up John Perkins. I interviewed John Perkins in 2023 on the book he wrote called The New Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Well, actually, I think I interviewed him before 2023, The New Confessions of an American Hitman, and he also wrote the book Hoodwinked. And what he talked about is what we really do around the world. And, he was an integral part of all of this, right? He was one of those hitmen. And we're talking financial, or I should call it economic hit persons, I should say. Now, we in America don't understand all the things that we do in America's name, because the corporations go out there, they do their thing, and we get the benefits of a lot of what they do overseas. We don't know what they do, but we get a piece of that profit from what they do. But of course, extreme wealthy that you speak about get it all. As an example, do some research on the banana, Chiquita banana. Do throughout Central America, do your research on what they've done in Jamaica with, let's say, the bauxite mines. I mean, there is so much. Look at what France has done in Central Africa, and now that the Central Africans, specifically four countries, Burkina Faso and some other countries in Africa, are starting to decide we are going to maintain our own resources. No, we're no longer going to be forced to put our money in a special French franc, right? Imagine that. These African countries weren't even allowed to have their own currency or be penalized, so there was a special franc created for them, and they had to do all their financing in that special franc. And you think about it, they stole a lot of their money in the way the banking sector went, and now that these guys have closed their ports, closed quite a few things and nationalized their industries, France is going into a tizzy. And you don't hear about that here. And the reason you don't hear about it here is that what's happening in France, what happens elsewhere, could happen right here. So we don't want to activate the people. When you talk about wealth, I want everybody to ask themselves a question. I was reading up on land ownership the other day and realized that, people always say lift yourself up by the bootstrap. Okay. Does lifting yourself up by the bootstrap mean stealing as well? A lot of were wealthy. That is how they got wealthy, right? They took things that weren't theirs, then it became theirs, and because it's capital, they used that capital to move on. Think about all those big ranches in West Texas. Was that their land to be able to capitalize on? Let's think of public lands. And I think about public lands. On public lands, you can find oil and minerals and uranium and all these other minerals on it. And when a company goes in and exploit it, let's go into to wherever in the middle of our country. When these countries exploit it, or these companies exploit it, does the indigenous folks who were on the land get any of those resources other than poverty on a reservation? Do we, if it's called public land, it actually means that the spoils from that public land belong to all Americans. So why is it that sometimes they may pay a small royalty for what's extracted? They get a tax break for something called a depletion allowance. Imagine you extract oil, or you extract carbon, or whatever it is. You extract these things from the ground. You didn't put it there. It's on public land. You didn't put it there. But you get, after you collect it, sell it, and you make a profit from it, to reduce the taxable profit that you have, they create a false expense known as the depletion allowance, which says, well, since there's less of the material in the ground since you've took some out, you get a tax break for having taken it out because it's depleted. I mean, the kind of crap that these guys pass into law to prevent rich people from paying their fair share in taxes on even unearned income, and let me tell you, unearned income. In other words, on income that they didn't even earn, that they just took. Then you can understand what we're talking about here. So when you hear Brother Jax, every time he speaks about the billionaires and the millionaires and the extraction, etc., and some people say, there we go again. Oh, there we go again. The reason we have here we go again is we're hoping every time another person tunes in for the first time, another person was in disbelief to what is happening, they'll go out there and simply ask themselves, why? Why do we, the masses, allow these things to happen? Also, you should check out the interview that I did with John Perkins a few years ago. You can find it on my website. I think it's his name is John Perkins, and it's at politicsandright.com. You can do a search there and listen to that entire interview. He had quite a bit to say. All right, before I get started, let's go ahead and say welcome aboard. 360 Travel says buenos dias. Well, buenos dias, 360 Travel. Lisa Blair, good morning. Happy Monday from Atlanta, Georgia. We also have in the house Substack. Joyce Morgan, PMP. Real DS says, help us learn how. We will. Please tune in every day. We'll learn together. Ria Daniel, welcome aboard. Brian Zwicker, Kevin Hurley, Barbara Fetante, Austin, Texas, represented. Mary V, welcome aboard. Stephen Rosenwig, Stephen says socialism for billionaires. Yeah, I call it, there has to be a word more profound than socialism for billionaires. I think we have to sort of call it like grand theft or something like that, because that's what it is. Professora LVW is in the house. How you doing, beautiful? Stephen Rosenweig says, hard knocks capitalism for the rest of us. Yeah, they make us believe that what we want is rugged individualism. That independency, right? No, not really. Harbinger, welcome aboard. LVW says, running late, but I'm here anyway. The full moon is guiding me to work. I didn't even know we had a full moon. That's how locked up I am in this studio, man. Glenn Ryan says, thank goodness the Dems will change all of this with a wealth tax. Oh, sorry, I forgot. They too are a tool of the owners of our society. Vote for a party that will actually tax wealth. Vote for a person that will win and will do just that. Glenn, you know I'm with you, but get rid of the walls in your tunnel. We don't want a hate for any party. I don't hate Republican Party. I hate what they do. I don't hate the Democratic Party. I hate what some of them do, particularly the neoliberals. I don't hate the Green Party. I hate what some of them represent. And I'm going to say something that a lot of folks won't necessarily like. But the same problems within the Democratic Party can be found within the Green Party. I have friends in the Green Party that talk about a huge prejudice within the Green Party, as well as the Republican Party, as well as the Democratic Party. I mean, you know why? And that is because all parties are comprised of a thing called human beings. And if you think that all the flaws of the human beings are not a part of every single party, then you're missing the point. And that is why I give grace to even my MAGA brothers, because yes, you have the bad MAGA brothers and sisters, and you have the good MAGA brothers and sisters, and that applies to every ideology there is. Ideology is just that, an ideology that somebody convinced you of, and the idea is to come into a place where we can all get together and find what truth really is. Gayla Kunis, welcome aboard from Evans, Georgia. The word is graft, and you're correct, Mr. Glenn Ryan. Margaret Ryan, thank you for being here. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, I want to get started with, I think I'll be able to play this by Pramila Jayapal. It's just 1 minute long. I want to play this because I think she nails it. Let me see if I can get it played or not. Oh, where is it? Come on, Pramila. I thought I had you down, but for some reason, let's see if I can get it going. It played earlier. I actually tested it, people. Okay, I guess I'll do it again. All right, for some reason, I am not able to play Pramila, but I think I know why. Let's see if this will work here. Maybe this will able work to play Pramila, but I think I know why. Let's see if this will work here. Actually, it won't. All right, I'll have to figure that one out at some other time. But let me go ahead to the text of what we want to do, because the concept is pretty straightforward. You know, hey, it's real-time radio, guys. It's real-time radio, so you know that for a fact. It's real-time radio. All right, here it goes. Mass firing threats prove shutdown is Project 2025 in action. U.S. Representative Pramila Jayapal said Sunday that the government shutdown that began last week and could be used as President Donald Trump's latest reason for mass firings of federal workers is Project 2025 in action, and condemned the Republican Party's push to inflict the most pain on America that they can. Jayapal spoke to MSNBC as the shutdown entered its fifth day, emphasizing that while the White House is threatening to fire federal workers en masse due to the legislators failing to reach deal on spending package to keep the government open, the Trump administration has already overseen the dismissal of over 100,000 people. What is she saying? Don't sit back and think that, oh, this particular shutdown is going to cause 100,000 people to lose their job or more federal workers to lose their job. No, that is what they have been doing for some time. That is what Doge did. Doge did. That is what they are intent on doing, shrinking the government. As one of their gods says, they want to shrink the government so tightly that it can actually be drowned in a tub. That's the case. They have actually already fired over 150,000 federal workers, said JFL. They've already slashed agencies across the board, and Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought does want to use the shutdown to inflict more pain on the American people instead of addressing the healthcare crisis that we have, both from the big bad betrayal bill and from the upcoming crisis we have around the Affordable Care Act. Look, what Democrats are doing right now is a last stance, and I hope the American people, as they are right now, continue to support this. I know the pain that our federal employees will have, or are having, or will have, because they haven't lost that pay. Not lost that pay, they haven't been denied that pay yet. Of course, it's coming in a few days, next couple of weeks. But they will get that money back. The people that will suffer the most are the places where those people would have otherwise spent that money, the restaurants, etc., that the government workers that are furloughed would have spent their money. So we have to think about how do we help those businesses that will be lacking that money. But it is essential that the shutdown is held. It is essential, and let me tell you why and what they're not telling you. One of the reasons they're in such a hurry to start this stuff up so that they can sign that bill is because they understand that in as much as the subsidies, the healthcare subsidies for over 24 million Americans expire in December, by holding out this shutdown, what's going to occur is that Americans will get to see that Republicans have been lying to them, because between now and then they would have received their new bills from the exchange. They would have received their new bills from their insurance. For those small companies who also have their employees on the exchange, and there are a lot. I interviewed the president of, I think, the Metallurgical Society, or one of these guys in Pennsylvania. He came on to the program, and he pointed out that even though he's a small company with about, 100 or so employees, he couldn't offer his employees insurance, and the Affordable Care Act saved him. So his 100 or so employees are all on the exchanges to get their insurance. And there are a lot of people that are on the exchanges that don't realize they're on the exchanges. And all of their bills, their healthcare bill, will come up to be 75% to 300% higher than it was before, because the subsidies are gone in December, and they're signing up for that insurance for next year in November, on November 1st. So, I mean, right now, the Republicans are eager. They are eager to get this stuff open so that they can ram through a bill that will harm the rest of us, but will keep all those tax breaks that were given to the wealthy. All that money that was made permanent to the wealthy. Donald Trump is also really trying hard not to give this, to cut back on the tariffs, because again, he has to make up a lot of that money from somewhere. But as you can see, what's happening to the farmers, because now they can't sell their soybeans, now they can't sell their excess corn, now they can't sell any of that, because all these countries have given a windfall to other countries now. Argentina is getting a double windfall. Donald Trump didn't. The farmers are screaming right now. They're screaming. They're in pain. I voted for you, Donald Trump, but they're in pain because they're picking their crops and they're getting either cropped down or thrown in silos. Think about this. They're each tilling their crop and leaving it out in the field to rot because there's no buyer, or they're just throwing it in silos, no buyers. And where are those buyers? China and others have gone to Brazil. They have gone to Argentina. And Argentina, in its wisdom, attempted to implement MAGAism, in other words, Trumpism, in other words, supply side economics on steroids. They tried to implement that in Argentina and crashed their economy. And the austerity is bringing them to their knees. And since an election is near, Donald Trump decided, wait a minute, let me give Milei, the president of Argentina, that is South America's Trump, let me give them $20 billion. As our farmers have nothing to, or have nobody to sell to, that money goes to Argentina. But guess what else, people? And guess what? Guess how Argentina thanked America? Argentina thanked America by saying, okay, let me now start selling our soybeans to guess whom? The Chinese. So the Chinese have made up their loss of supply from the United States by going to Brazil, by going to Argentina. And Brazil, understanding that China is going to make the American farmer pay for having elected Donald Trump, who had never had their interest at hand, meaning the farmers' interest at hand, they are going to make those soybean purchases permanent. And guess why? Argentina reduced or stopped their export taxes, no tariffs. And if I recall, so did Brazil. Like, don't quote me on the Brazil part, but so does Brazil. And Brazil is going to even cut down more of its rainforest for that new increased demand in soybeans from the American farmer is losing. When we talk about a screwed up policy that is actually in order to maximize monies for the billionaires, in other words, hey, the billionaires paid to get him elected, so now he's paying them back. But to pay them back, it hurts all of us. It hurts all of us. Okay, I'm going to change subject in a minute, but let's go ahead and go to Betty. And folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Any questions? Give me a call. Any comments? Give me a call. Betty, come on in.
Hi, Alberto.
Good morning, beautiful.
Here goes. Trump is making America the country from hell. To the world, I mean. He's making rules like living under his roof. You don't eat until he eats first. What's on my mind this morning is my white supremacist nephew left a voicemail. He's buying pepper shell spray for my 12 gauge pump shotgun. I had it left over from my business. He said, pop it in your shotgun, blow them away, and when they begin to get up, beat the crap out of them with your shotgun. And, this is their frame of mind. He comes from a house of domestic violence. I give him hell, but he is my blood. We are bonded. He has two great boys. They stay their destiny. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Betty. And look, you stick with your nephew, or I forgot what you said he was, and make sure that he doesn't do those things. Just make sure that he eventually we got to get to these people. Cheryl Elkins, welcome aboard. How you doing? I think Cheryl is from Massachusetts. So now we have every single corner of the United States plus the Midwest. So, God, we are covered. We are covered through the entire country this morning. LVW says billionaire win when the farmers foreclose. They will buy up all the property. Yeah, that is their intent. That is a gift that Donald Trump is giving to the people who voted for him, and they all knew that was going to happen. That's why Argentina got that $20 billion before any subsidies for the farmers were even voted on. Think about that. Argentina got that $20 billion in no time. The farmers? Nah, the farmers they have to wait. And in waiting, by then some would have already turned over. Remember what the bankers told a lot of these? A farmer came on to MSNBC and said that all these bankers, because remember, all these farmers get loans to plant their land and get it all cosechar, to crop it up and everything. They get loans, and then at the end of the what is it, cosechar? What is the word? When you pick the fruit at the end of the harvest. Then they pay back the bank, and whatever is left is their profit. And those numbers are going down. Even as we are paying a lot more money for our food, the farmers are making less. What gives? What gives? And farmers, you constantly vote against your interests, farmers. You're going to lose your health care. You're losing your sales. And you still have faith in your ideology? I have a friend. Well, I won't go there. Johnny, come on in. Well, Johnny will be in a little bit. But telephone number 713-526-5738. Johnny, line 1. Let's see if we can get that working or not. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. But we'll try. As one of our callers said recently, we're going to get you guys some new phones. Come on in, Johnny.
Okay, I hear you loud and clear. And I hear a little bit of my echo, but that's okay. I'm used to it. So, I love Magic Jack. He said this morning, I don't know if words he was quoting someone else, and now I can't remember what it was he said that I like so much. So, because of the non-stop open fire hydrant supplies every single day, I think it's necessary for you and I to remind folks from the other side of the aisle, fellow time travelers from the other side of the aisle, that when you and I and Bernie and all the progressives advocate for something like the institution of expanded and improved Medicare for all Americans, single-payer style, we're not talking about just for us. We're talking about my Republican neighbors as well. That's what they need to. That's what we need to remind them. And dovetailing with that, something like I heard from Arnie Arneson right before the end of her show, she or one of her guests said that what the current Democrats in charge should be doing, should be messaging to the Republicans and for the earshot of their voters, is that, and what was it they would something about, I think that the Republicans are not fighting for you guys. We are. We're talking about avoiding health care cuts for you guys. The Republicans aren't doing that. Something to that.
Yeah, well, let me just say, I spoke to Arnie on Thursday, and we're gonna put a couple of stuff on together. Great show, the Arnie's show. Now, let me just say this, okay? You have a full industry dedicated, that these guys trust, that the farmers trust, that our right-wing brothers and sisters trust, that tries to tell them that you have horns, Johnny. I don't know if you looked in the mirror lately, but you have horns, and you want to get them. You want to change who they are. That's what you're doing to those people on the right. That's what you're doing to MAGA. They are fed that 24/7. 24/7. So just talking to them isn't going to help much. And what you have to do is you have to somehow earn these folks' trust so that they start actually listening to you. Because right now they're not even listening. What you say, a lot of them right now, what you say is white noise. But you know what starts to make them listen? You know why 61% of MAGA now support the Affordable Care Act and the subsidies? Because that pain or potential pain affects them personally. So it doesn't require empathy at that point. It's affecting them personally. That opens the door. What I've been telling everybody is, and I've told you this too, is now is the time for us to give people a place to land. And if we squander this, like let's say Hakeem Jeffries and I know people get into a tizzy when I hit up Hakeem Jeffries and the Chuck Schumer. They have to do a mandami right now in the way they address these issues, and they simply are not doing it. Now is the time for the people, Americans that are getting harmed, and the people that are getting harmed the most are not you, Johnny, here in Houston. You're on Social Security and you live pretty darn close to the medical center. It's the people in Timbuktu, Texas. It's the people in Crazy Place somewhere else. It's a person in small town Kansas. Those are the people that are getting harmed. But guess what? They're not hearing they're not listening to Politics Done Right. They're listening to Fox News. So what they believe is that Johnny, that guy that when you look in the mirror you see those horns coming out of your head, that is who Fox News tell them they're seeing. So the idea is, how do you break into their domain? And all of us are going to have to make that effort to go there. I know some people are tired and they won't. And to which I tell you, rest. But those of us who have the ability to do so, we must. Johnny, anything else real quick before I move on?
Yeah, be there with donuts, coffee, and point up to the poster board on the freeway with our message. I'm hearing the prices are coming down on advertising on freeway signs.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Welcome aboard, E Migoya says, Buenos dias, love your show. Thank you, E Migoya. And Migoya says, I'm from Burke, Virginia. Hey, you guys have an important election in Virginia in November. You all can take full control of all three well, it's a three. I think Virginia have the House of Delegates. You also have the your governor is up for re-election. You guys can take it all because you are feeling the pain. And a lot of Virginians, especially Northern Virginians who kind of border DC, all of this is affecting you big time. And for rural Virginia, you are getting your hospitals closed. 3 of your hospitals have already closed. I haven't been following the ads in Virginia, but I hope that centered on those ads are the closures of those hospitals. And guess what? It's just the beginning. Come on, John from Minneapolis.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I thought that the budget that they propose is going to go into effect so that it's going, the Medicare, the money that's taken out of the system isn't going to be until after the 2026 election. Maybe I got that wrong.
No, let me explain. It's not that you got that wrong. No, you didn't get that wrong, John. Let me just say this, and it's important that I break in and say this. There are a lot of these provisions in the big, beautiful bill, aka the big, ugly attack on the American people. There's a whole lot of provisions that don't take effect till after the election 26. And let's go a bit deeper. And a lot of Trump's policies, like no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, those things that helps some in the middle class, those expire at the end of Trump's term. So all those things are not permanent, and they either go into effect after 26 or they come out of effect when Trump leaves. But it's deeper than that. A company does not wait until something happens to change their policy. Companies have to survive, and things don't change on a dime. The 3 hospitals that closed in Virginia are a direct result of what occurred because of the Big Beautiful Bill. They had to make plans knowing that the Big Beautiful Bill is coming into effect. So they plan ahead, and planning ahead means closing these hospitals for them to stay fiscally viable after the bill takes effect at the end of 2026. So you're correct. While it doesn't occur till after 2026, the planning occurs before and the closures occur before. Continue, brother.
And and I also wanted to say, Russell Vogt, the Project 2025, which Donald lied to us, and should be brought up all the time. I mean, every conversation we should say, oh, and guess what? Donald lied to us. But because what are they going to get out of destroying the economy, which is what they will do? This country will go into a depression. I want to cut your topic one at a time. Except for a handful of people.
John, John.
Sorry.
I don't know if you can hear me when I'm talking back. It seems like you can hear when I try to stop you. But let me just say that it is important that we these points have to be addressed. You spoke about why would they destroy the economy. The economy only gets destroyed for the poor and the middle class. Remember this. Every time there's a destruction in the economy, it's what's called a reset. Folks, I want you to understand this very well. Until we change our economic system, every time there is a depression, a recession, it is a reset. And it's a reset for those people who have capital to even take more at a discount. So the farmers suffer, the plutocracy gets the farmers' land at a discount. The economy crashes, they buy up your homes at a discount. Right now we talk about there being a shortage of homes. But what you find is a lot of homes are in the hands of REITs, real estate investment trusts. A lot of these homes are held and as they're held, when the prices then go up, then these guys make these big profit. It is a revolving door and a way to extract your money. And the problem is, when you're watching the mainstream news, my brothers and sisters, they're not explaining this to you. So you listen to what Speaker Johnson say and you believe that junk. They don't mind crashing the economy. Go ahead, John.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, this has happened before in history, and it never goes well. I mean, we just about had a revolution in this country, either a fascist or a socialist or communist revolution in this country, and FDR, solved this issue well over 80 years ago now. And no successful economy runs on austerity. Can you name any? Well, maybe China, I guess. I don't know. But even they have a growing middle class.
No. China doesn't run an austerity. Look, let's be clear, okay? The reason you don't have a Chinese revolution, there's 1.something billion people in China. If the Chinese system, and by the way, I am no fan of communism, but China didn't just implement communism. China made a deal with its people and its business people. You leave the government to us, and we leave you to do what you do. All right, we'll govern. Every now and then when we come short, we'll come and take from you. But the pact is, we go out there around the world and we build. And we build. And we build relationships. There are a lot of Americans, when they move to China, they are in shock. They stay out of politics and they live their lives. And they have great health care. They have great the amount they pay for mortgages, etc. is fixed. I mean, they're just fine with it. They stay out of politics, but they're fine with it. But again, it's not a dual thing. In America, we give the semblance of democracy as the plutocracy takes it all. They keep a certain percentage of the population sufficiently fed and happy to make sure that the rest of the population, the 60-something% that live paycheck to paycheck, to make sure that those people don't revolt because they're constantly in war among each other. So they create all these wars.
That's going to
Go ahead.
going to change.
Yeah.
That is going to change, and we are going to have a system where the majority of people are going to be dirt poor. They're going to be rich. And how do you maintain that within the framework of this democracy unless you create a dictatorship of some sort, which is, I think, that's exactly what they want.
Yeah. We're having some issues with the phones, John A. That's why the difference in volume, and I can't see what the difference in volume is because, again, I have in my ears the first thing. But thank you, John. John, I got to go to Jimmy. Okay?
Yep.
Have a good one. Come on in, Jimmy.
I'm here. When Betty was talking, we could hear nothing. It was just silence. Anyway, on this issue of the shutdown, I urge the Democrats to go ahead and vote to end the shutdown. It's hurting too many people. They don't have the votes to really get what they want. So end the shutdown and then work on the issues of education and health care after that. So,
Jimmy, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question before that sentiment metastasizes. I want to ask a question. How many government employees are not getting paid right now?
Maybe 250,000.
Okay, and my next question to you is, I don't know the number. I was just asking that, but I don't know the number. Let me just ask one other thing. Are they losing that money, or are they going to be paid that money afterwards when the government open back up?
They always pay all the
great. Yes, so they
employees. They always pay them all their back pay.
Right, so they'll get back. They'll get their back.
But they give them all their back pay. They always do that.
Okay, so let's stop right there. They're going to get their back pay. Now, if we don't if we don't force Republicans to do something about subsidies on healthcare, how many people are either going to have to pay 75% more for their health insurance or go without? How many?
I don't know, but an awful lot of them. Well, yeah, I guess almost everybody that has the Obamacare.
Yeah, I can tell you the amount. 20. It's 24 million. It's Jimmy.
Back that subsidy.
Jimmy, let me hold you a second. I'm trying to show you what they're doing to us by saying, hey, it's not going to work anyway, so stop the shutdown. You're hurting a lot of people. So here's this. People are being hurt by the shutdown, and people will be hurt if the shutdown is over without something being done about subsidies. And the people that will get permanently hurt are the people who would be denied subsidies if Democrats and independents don't fight for them. In other words, 250 employees that will be temporarily losing their pay that they will eventually get, or 24 million people that for at least a couple of years until a new Congress comes into the fold will lose their health insurance, will lose their will have to pay more. I think the answer, in my opinion, is clear. That somebody has to be there. They're expecting people to give up. I am telling Democrats out there, don't, because more people are going to be hurt if they don't get relief for the people that are currently receiving subsidies. So that's my stance on that, Jimmy, and kind of tell me what you think about that, and then I got to go to Donald.
I just think that in the shutdown and then work on those important issues. And I think the Congress will go along with the majority of people. I have one more quick question for you, Roberto. I'm going to be in Georgia this week, and I'll have my iPhone. How can I listen to your program? What should I do?
All right. What I'm going to do, Jimmy, is could you do me a favor, Jimmy? Drop me a line, and you have my email. And what I'll do is I'll send you links and all that good stuff of what to do.
Good deal. Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you, brother. All right. Let's go to Brother Donald. Donald will be coming in right now. Talk to me, Donald.
Good morning, Egberto.
Great. Talk to me, sir.
Okay. Egberto's Fables. You and Jack need to get together and start coming up with them and writing with them.
I like that. Are you going to be our a producer?
Well, the first one is going to be not the grasshopper and the ant, but the locust and the ant.
Oh boy, you're dangerous. And I think you know that you're a dangerous man.
And China is just taking our playbook and going and doing exactly what we do, but it's right in your face. If you control the port, then you control the food, imports, and exports. But they've got us beat.
But
so we're going to figure out how to correct that problem.
Donald, but have you noticed something? Do you notice that in China's Belt and Roads policy, not one bomb was dropped, not one government was overthrown? Have you noticed that?
Well, they just haven't got to the fine print in the contract. It
Actually,
will be coming soon.
Well, I mean, people keep saying that, but guess what they do? I mean, it's a different philosophy altogether. It's not, because of how we grew up, we are Westerners. We grew up in the Western world, right? It seems like remember, let's look at colonization from its inception, right? From the India Company, etc. How there are two ways there are many ways of doing things, and just maybe, and I'm just saying, I'm not an expert, a historian, or anything like that. Just maybe they learned a different way to do it, and figure out that you can have colonization without colonization, right?
Okay, ask India how they like China or what they think about them.
I don't know. You don't only have to ask India. You just have to ask many of the countries in Africa, right? It is a double-edged sword, but one of the double edge comes without bombs and killing. Think about it. I mean, think about it. One comes with
Reference Neil deGrasse last week.
Love him.
Do you think that was his slave owner name? And why didn't he change his name or fight that? He got an education, freed his mind, and succeeded.
My name is
Toby or a Kunta Kinte.
My name is Egberto Willies.
And built a life.
My name is Egberto Willies. What should I change it to? That's not my name. That's not the. I don't know. Go behave yourself, Donald. We talk another day. I gotta get some closing statements. Take care, buddy. All right. Good, my dear brothers and sisters. By the way, Margaret Ryan, welcome aboard. John A, welcome aboard. Norma Frank, Mark KJ, Richard, man, the chat really filled up. Javier Garza, ¿cómo estás, mi hermano? Welcome aboard. And Glenn Ryan, always here. Love you, Glenn. Miss Reyes Nunez, welcome aboard. Anthony LaFranco from California. Lady Bearcat from Austin. Thank you guys for being here. Eric, also here from Kingwood at Tescasita. I gotta go to the studio, but before I get to the studio, I just want to say this. I had a few more things I wanted to talk about today, but as usual, every now and then, our studio just go ahead and start talking stuff, and then it tickles me, and it's like, I think you guys really need to hear this as well. Drop me a line, k50@politicsandright.com. Let me know the kinds of things that you want covered, and I'll make sure to do that. Studio.
Yeah, actually, I was actually thinking about that as well. Like, I want to know more about what's going to happen this election that's coming up in Houston, and like what we are, like what's going on with the different things we're voting for and what they exactly stand for. You know, I also see like the District 18 election, and a constitutional amendment. I just want to understand a little bit more about that. I'm going to start going through it, but it'd be nice to have that discussed as well.
Yeah, there's a Substacker, not swing left, left. I gotta look her up. She covers that in detail. I'm going to start pulling some of her stuff up, and maybe if she'll come on, I'll also bring her on.
All right, cool.
Jack.
Oh, Jack is good. He's just working on some things, back here.
Okay, good. Maybe sometime this week we're going to get those phones working like they used to be. It's hard. I understand. Anyway, folks, it's a lot of work, especially when you don't have the newest and the best equipment. Anyway, folks, look, we come here every morning. We try to make sure and bring you some fresh material all of the times, twice a day actually. And we do, where our heart is, and you know what we're striving for. And we will continue to do this day in and day out. Personally, that's the dedication that I made of my life. That we were not going to accept what's given to us by those who didn't earn it as they attempt to control us. So my entire purpose in life going forward till I drop dead is going to make sure that I do the best that I can as one person, as one person on a team, on one person on many teams actually, to make a difference. And every single one of you can also make a difference in some form or fashion. Listening, engaging, sharing, and not just allowing ourselves to succumb to what these people are trying to do. We can win this thing. Anyway, look, guys, love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!